It feels weird to be sitting in an actual chair. Hey, Bleach, how are you? I just realized I gotta do. Come on. Awesome, glad to hear it. Let me see, I'm just getting everything set up here. I'm not sitting on those stools anymore because I broke one last week, and now I need to actually put this on. There we go, and I won't get any Discord pings. That's perfect. Awesome. Okay. Sorry if you hear the dogs barking. Jesus, what the fuck are they doing up there? I gotta go grab one thing before I forget. Piece of fan art fell a while ago. I've been meaning to grab it, but I always keep forgetting. So I had to go grab that. Okay, let me see. Oh, this is perfect. Okay, I got everything that I need set up. And we should be ready to go here in a couple minutes. Hold on, I gotta go check one thing. I'll be back here in just a minute. I'll be right back. I gotta check on something. Sorry about that. I had to check on something. I am back, though. Everything's all good. Excuse me. Oh, no. Focus. Let me just keep this open here. So. Hey, Irina, how are you? You heard that praying mantises were mistaken for fairies back then. I have not heard that. I'll have to look into that. I didn't know about that. I'll definitely check that out. Wait, what did I do? Come on. Hey, Alpaca, how are you? Let me see. All right, I'm going to get started here in just a couple seconds. Hey, I'm glad to hear it. Let me see. Just getting everything set up. We should be good. And let me see. Let me just check in. I don't know. All right, well, let's get started. Hi everyone, thank you for coming to Cryptocast, your source for all things cryptid-related, unknown, and paranormal. I'm your host Parker, and welcome to the St. Patrick's Day special. You guys can kill me. I'm not wearing green, obviously. I'm wearing Bob Ross, but it's Bob Ross. He has a color palette, like every color of the rainbow on his color palette. So technically, I'm wearing green, and this necklace has little bits of green on it. So I don't know. I should have worn a green shirt. I completely forgot. I just grabbed what I could, and this is all that I really had. So, I mean, Bob Ross isn't bad. So, everyone loves Bob Ross. So, yes. So, this is a St. Patrick's Day special. So, I'm going to be talking about creatures from Celtic folklore and all that stuff, like the mythology and all the different creatures, like the leprechaun, which is a mascot of St. Patrick's Day, and all that fun stuff. And there's just like so many different creatures in Celtic folklore that I just love to. That some of them I haven't even heard of before. So this is gonna be like a little new adventure for me. But some of them, but like a good half of them I have. But there's just like a few that are just very, very unfamiliar to me. So I'm going to be learning along with you guys today. So, well, it looks like you can get a Sphinx Lego set. Okay, I'm getting. Your infection is green. Does that count? You might want to get that checked out, Bleach, if that's the case. That doesn't sound healthy. That does not sound healthy at all. Definitely go get that checked out, man. That's not good. But after St. Patrick's Day, I guess I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. That could be gangrene. I don't know, but all right. So I guess let's get started off here. Let's start off with a creature known as the Abhartak. It means, which is Irish for dwarf. Now, this is one that I haven't heard of before, but my God, is it fucking horrifying. It literally looks like me at 3 a.m. wandering out of my room to go get something from the fridge. But dear God. Or it looks like one of those ghouls from Tokyo Ghoul. I've just finished watching season 1 of that series. My friend told me to watch it, and I actually fucking loved it. So yeah, this is the Abhartak. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. So probably one thing I'm going to be doing this stream, I'm probably going to be accidentally butchering a lot of different creatures' names because I'm not really, because obviously some of these are very, very hard to pronounce. So I apologize if I'm butchering some of these. I know I am, but yeah, the Abhartak is Irish for dwarf, and there's a legend about it. It says there's a place in the parish of Argyll and Derry called Slotverty, but it ought to have been called Lotaverty, the lot or spectral monument. Okay, this is hard to read. I'm just gonna try my best here. I'm just gonna kind of skim, just kind of get the gist of it. He was buried with standing posture, where the very next day he appeared his old haunt. Oh, so okay, now I understand. So somebody was executed, and he was buried standing up, and the next day they saw the guy who was dead still walking around. So he's sort of like an Irish dwarf vampire. If that makes sense, I don't know. So it rises from its grave to drink the blood of his subjects. Oh, it is a vampire. Okay. I wish Des was here. Des would know about this. Actually, okay, I'm going to tag Des in this. He needs to know about this. There we go. Okay, we're good to go. So, yeah, it's essentially an Irish vampire. It's but it's considered a dwarf too, which is kind of odd. I don't really understand that, but so let me see. He was buried. So how to be? So like if you become an abhartak, you were buried standing up, and you essentially come to life to drink the blood of the living. So you are essentially a vampire at this point. While the chieftain who slays the revenant is named Cathian, the hero variously consults an early Christian saint and druid, and is told that the Abhartak is one of the walking dead, and he can only be restrained by killing him with a sword made out of yew wood, burying him upside down, surrounding his grave with thorns, and placing a large stone on top of the grave. So there are a lot. So it sounds really difficult if you want to try to kill one of these creatures. It doesn't mention sunlight. Oh, you can't kill them with sunlight, which is fucking bizarre, but I guess every culture has their own folklore, legends, and everything. So, oh god, one of the dogs is howling. I'm sorry if you hear him. Stitch! Shh! Yeah, one of my dogs is howling. I'm sorry. He's a wiener dog. They're known for being loud. So, yeah, really what that Abhartak is just an Irish vampire that just rises from the grave. If it was buried standing upright, and it just comes out of its grave every night to drink the blood of the living. So, that's literally metal as fuck, and I love it. So now we're going to talk about the Banshee. Now, the Banshee is probably one of the more famous creatures found in Irish and Gaelic folklore. So she's considered a fairy, but she is the spirit of a woman, and she is usually seen kneeling by the water, washing blood out of clothes, and most importantly, you just hear her screaming or crying. And usually, if you see her or hear her scream or cry, somebody that you know or someone in your family is about to die. And some people actually think that it's actually kind of a comforting thing because she's crying for the person who's about to die and like letting everyone know, hey, there's a death in your community and everything. So there's different people out there. Some people take it as creepy and like a death omen, and some people think of it like as an actual kind of comforting thing. So there's just a lot of different takes on it. I mean, it's just kind of like different strokes for different folks kind of thing. Like some people think it's comforting, some people think it's just a death omen or downright creepy. So, personally, if I heard that, I don't know. I would probably just run. I really don't know what I would do. I feel like that would freak me the fuck out. So there are many varying depictions of the Banshee. Sometimes she has long streaming hair and wears a gray cloak over a green dress, and her eyes are red from continual weeping. She may be dressed in white with red hair and a ghastly complexion. According to a first-hand account by Anne Lady Fanshawe in her memoirs, Lady Wilde in Ancient Legends of Ireland provides another. The size of a banshee is another physical feature that differs between regional accounts. There's some accounts of her standing unnaturally tall are recorded. The majority of tales that describe her height state the banshee's stature is short, anywhere between 1 foot and 4 feet. Her exceptional shortness often goes alongside a description of her as an old woman, though it may also be intended to emphasize her state as a fairy creature. So, pretty much what this is saying, there are some accounts of the banshee being like super tall and some being super short, whether that be to show that hey, she's an old lady or she's a fairy creature. It's just different interpretations, but it's all the same creature. Sometimes the banshee assumes the form of some sweet singing virgin of the family who died young, and has been given the mission by the invisible powers to become the harbinger of coming doom to her mortal kindred. Or she may be seen at night as a shrouded woman crouched beneath the trees, lamenting with veiled face, or flying past the moonlight, crying bitterly, and the cry of the spirit is mournful beyond all other sounds on earth, and betokens certain death to some member of the family wherever it is heard in the silence. So, like I said, some people take her as an omen of death. Some people think it's more of a comforting thing. It just depends on the person. And um, let me see. I just saw. Let me see. Gorgeous. So pretty much the Banshee. I cannot talk tonight, guys. I'm sorry. So the Banshee is pretty much just an omen of death to some people, and some people, they think of it as a comforting thing. Now, on a show that I used to watch called, what was it? It was, I'll think of it. Oh gosh, what was the name of that show? Mystery Hunters. It was on a show, Mystery Hunters. One of the girls, one of the people on the show, they had like two investigators, this one guy and this one girl. The girl went to Ireland to investigate the Banshee, and some people believe that the Banshee's shriek could be some kind of barn owl, but it sounds a lot different from what witnesses have described. So people are kind of ruling out the owl option, but I mean, it's always up there. We don't know. So um, people believe that the banshees, it could be a spirit, or it could just be some animal just making noise at night. So we don't really know. But yeah, so that is the banshee. She's an omen of death to some and a source of comfort for some people. Now this one I have not heard of either. It's called the Chloricon. What the heck is that? I don't know what this is. The Chloricon. It looks just like a little leprechaun with whiskey. God, I wish I was a little leprechaun with whiskey. That would be fucking great. But no, it's just a cute little leprechaun with whiskey. Doesn't everybody? Oh my gosh. So the Chloricon is a mischievous fairy from excuse me, is a mischievous fairy in Irish folklore known for his great love of drinking and a tendency to haunt breweries, pubs, and wine cellars. This is my fucking spirit animal, except I don't drink. I legally can drink, but I just never had it because of my meds. The doctor said, the doctor actually told me, hey, don't mix alcohol in these meds. You'll die. So I was like, okay, great. I wanted to drink when I turned 21, but I can't. So, well, I can, but according to the doctor, it's just like a fucking death sentence if I drink with my meds. So, he's related to the leprechaun and has sometimes been conflated with him as a shoemaker and a guardian of hidden treasure. This has led some folklorists to suppose that the Chloricon is merely a leprechaun on a drinking spree, while others regard them as regional variations of the same being. Like Leprechaun, the Chloricon is a solitary fairy encountered alone rather than in groups, as distinct from the trooping fairies. So, yeah, it's just the Chloricon is just like a little leprechaun that likes to drink a lot. He's got a drinking problem. Though generally regarded as separate beings, certain characteristics of the leprechaun have been merged with those of the Chloricon, particularly the shoemaker and the treasure guardian. The Chloricon is sometimes portrayed carrying a jug of ale or wearing leather apron with hammer in hand, whistling as he works. Maybe the Chloricon could be the inspiration for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, then? I don't know. He also carries a magical purse, or sometimes a pewter beggar's cup with varying properties. It may contain a shilling known as the lucky shilling that always returns to the purse no matter how often it is spent, or may always be full of money, and for this reason mortals will often try to capture the Chloricon. Even if he is caught, he has the power to vanish if he can make his captor look away for even an instant. He frequently carries two such purses, one containing the magic shilling and one containing a normal copper coin. And if captured, he will present the latter before vanishing. Like the leprechaun, he is sometimes said to have knowledge of hidden treasure and can be forced to reveal its location in such instances. One of his tricks is to create the illusion of multiple treasure markers so that the seeker will not know its exact whereabouts. The Cluricon also shares many attributes with um the Beersel, a type of kobold stemming from Germanic mythology and surviving into modern times in German folklore. So it's just a little leprechaun on a drinking spree, and it's adorable. And I want one. I want one. What if it's a what if it's a midget that's it could be a midget that stunted his growth using alcohol. I don't know. I don't know. You do have a point there. Hmm. But now we're going to be talking about the puka. Not that one little Disney show that was on a while called Puka Puka or something. It's not that. Um this is the puka. He's adorable. He looks like a little cat lemur with little wings. But that is the puka. Puka no. No, 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 no Puka no Pico. That's no. The puka is primarily a creature of Celtic folklore, considered to be bringers of both good and bad fortune. They could either help or hinder rural and marine communities. The puka can have dark or white fur or hair. This, the creatures are said to be shape changers, which can take the appearance of horses, goats, cats, dogs, and hares. Not like hair, but the little bunny. They might also take a human form, which includes various animal features such as ears or tail. Hmm. The puka has counterparts throughout Celtic cultures northwest of Europe. For instance, in Welsh mythology, it is called the Pwca, and in Cornish, the Buca. The In the Channel Islands, the puka were said to be fairies who lived near ancient stones. In Channel Island French, a cromlech or prehistoric tomb is referred to as a pukale. Um, so they live near ancient tombs and ancient stones. The origin of the name may have come from the Old Norse term, not Old Norse, Old Norse term puk or puki, which refers to a nature spirit. Usage of the term in Ireland, however, may predate the arrival of Norse settlers in Germanic languages such as Frisian or English. This became pukel, pug, or puck. Excuse me. The name of the puka may also come from the Irish word puck, meaning a male goat, a form the creature is said to often take. So, if you look up puka on Google Images, the forms that you see are pretty much the one I showed you: a horse, a goat. Those are like some of its favorite forms to take. The puka may be regarded as being either menacing or beneficent. Fairy mythologist Thomas Kitely said notions respecting it are very vague, and brief descriptions gives an account collected by Croker from a boy living near Killarney that old people that I can't talk tonight. I'm sorry, guys. That old people used to say that the pukas were very numerous long ago. They were wicked, um, black-looking bad things that would come in the form of wild colts, which are horses, with chains hanging about them, and that did much to harm unwary travelers. So these guys were pretty much dicks back then. That's what he's saying. Also, children were warned not to eat overripe blackberries because this was a sign that the puka has befouled them. So, a thing about the pukas are too. How you can tell something's a puka, like when it takes the form of like a black horse, let's say, it has like glowing eyes, like glowing green eyes. There's a lot of horse symbolism in Celtic folklore, which we'll talk about in a little bit with the Kelpie. But one of the ways you can tell something's a puka is if it has the glowing eyes, or like when they said it can take the form of a human, it has animal features like ears and tails and all that stuff. One theme of the puka's folklore is their I have a smudge on my screen. Is the proclivity for mischief. They're commonly said to entice humans to take a ride on their back, giving the rider a wild and terrifying journey before dropping the unlucky person back at the place they were taken from. So pretty much unlike the Kelpie, where if you touch it or hop on its back, the skin becomes adhesive and drags you in the water. You hop on the back of a puka, in the form of a horse or a goat or something. It takes you like on the most like fucking insane joyride you've ever been on, and pretty much scares the shit out of you before dropping you off at home. This lore bears similarities to other Irish folk creatures such as the Daoine Maith, which means good people, or the Slua Sea, which means fairy host, said to target humans on the road or along regular passes. These human encounters of the puka tend to occur in rural, isolated places far from settlements or homes. While puka stories can be found across northern Europe, Irish tales specify a protective measure for encountering a puka. It is said that the rider may be able to take control of the puka by wearing sharp spurs, using those to prevent being taken or to steer the creature and if already on its back. So here's a translation of an Irish puka story. The farmer asked the lad what had kept him out so late. The lad told him, "I have spurs," said the farmer. "Put them on you tonight, and if he brings you, give him the spurs." And this the lad did. The thing threw him from its back, and the lad got back early enough. Within a week, the puka was before him again after housing the cows. "Come to me," said the lad, "so I can get on your back." "Have you the sharp things on?" said the animal. "Certainly," said the lad. "Oh, I won't go near you then," he said. So this just shows that sharp things scare the puka away. So the protective power of sharp things, as they are always referred to by the puka in the tales, may stem from the Irish belief that cold iron has the ability to ward off the supernatural. So, in other words, the puka is a fairy, and if you play Pokemon, if you're ever wondering why steel is super effective against fairy types, this is one of the reasons why, because they believe that steel, cold iron, could be used to ward off evil spirits and the fairies. So that is one of the reasons why steel is super effective. Oh, whoops. In contrast, the puka is represented as being helpful to farmers by Lady Wilday, who relates the following tale. A farmer's son named Padraig one day noticed an invisible presence of the puka brushing by and called out to him, offering a coat. The puka appeared in the guise of a young bull and told him to come to the old mill at night. From that time onward, the puka came secretly at night and performed the work of he did all the milling, the sacks of corn into flour. Padraig fell asleep the first time, but later concealed himself in a chest to catch sight of them, and later made a suit. This unexpectedly caused the puka to go off to see a little of the world and cease their work. But by then, the farmer's wealth allowed him to retire and give his son an education later. At Padraig's wedding, the puka left a gift of a golden cup filled with a drink that inevitably ensured their happiness. So that was a story about a good puka there. We heard about the bad puka. That was a story of a good puka. So the puka did all the, like, pretty much all the farming, all their chores and everything, and then he left, at Padraig's wedding, he left a little cup filled with a drink that would give them eternal happiness. So that's a good puka. That's the puka you want to hang around with. Another example of a puka as a benevolent or protective entity comes from the tales where the creature intervenes before a terrible accident or before the person is about to happen upon a malevolent fairy or spirit. In several of the regional variants of the stories where the puka is acting as a guardian, the puka identifies itself to the bewildered human. This is particularly noteworthy as as it is in contrast to the lore of many other folkloric beings who guard their identities or names from humans. There are stories of some puka being bloodthirsty, vampire-like creatures. Other stories even say that some are man-eating beings hunting down or killing and eating their victims. So some people believe that the puka is just this evil thing that likes to hunt people down. Some people, there are accounts of good pukas. So I guess whichever one. I mean, they're both historically portrayed. So I mean, there are good puka and there are bad puka. Kind of like there's good people and there's bad people. So, like I said, the puka is a shapeshifter too. It can transform into many different creatures: horse, cow, dog, cat, even a person with human. I mean, with animal, a human with human features. No, a human with animal features. But they really don't. But in a lot of accounts, they really don't do anything that bad. They just like to scare the crap out of people. But other than that, that is the puka. Now, let's get on to the one that everybody's been waiting for. Let me get him up. We're going to be talking about the leprechaun. The leprechaun. Why is there a picture, like, clip art of a fucking dabbing leprechaun? What is this world fucking come to? Hi, Ren. But a dabbing leprechaun, Jesus Christ. So let's see if we can learn a thing or two about leprechauns, even though this is pretty much the mascot of St. Patrick's Day and like everyone and their brother knows what a leprechaun is. We're going to talk about it anyway. A leprechaun is a type of fairy AOC in Irish folklore. They are usually depicted as little bearded men wearing a coat and a hat who partake in mischief. They are solitary creatures who spend their time making and mending shoes and have hidden a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. If captured by a human, they often grant 3 wishes in exchange for their freedom. Like the other Irish fairies, leprechauns may be derived from the Tuatha De Danann. Leprechaun-like creatures rarely appear in Irish mythology and only become prominent in later folklore. So these really weren't the main focus of Irish folklore back in the day. They did make a slight appearance, but not much. But later, they started becoming more prominent. Probably like around like, I don't know when exactly, but St. Patrick's Day, they're pretty much commercialized. The leprechauns are pretty much just Jesus, I'm sorry, my nose itches like fuck. But to us here in America, the leprechauns are pretty much the Santa Claus of St. Patrick's Day, except they don't leave you shit. But they're, you know, it's just pretty much to us, they're just another holiday mascot. But I mean, there's folklore behind it and a lot of good stuff. So I like leprechauns, I really do, but probably not like the commercialized version that we all see. So the name of the leprechaun is derived from the Irish word leprechaun, defined by Patrick Deenan as a pygmy, a sprite, or a leprechaun. The further derivation is less certain. According to most sources, the word is thought to be a corruption of Middle Irish lucropan from the Old Irish lucropan, a compound of the roots lu and corp, small body, which was borrowed from the Latin corpus. So this is pretty much where the word leprechaun came from. So it literally means small body because they're tiny little people. Stitch! I'm sorry, my dogs are barking if you hear them. They've been doing that a lot. I don't know. I'm sorry. The earliest known reference to a leprechaun appears in the medieval tale known as the Ectra Fergus Mac Letty, Adventure of Fergus, son of Letty. The text contains an episode in which Fergus MacLetty, King of Ulster, falls asleep on the bench and wakes to find himself being dragged into the sea by three leprechauns. He captures his abductors, who grant him three wishes in exchange for release. The leprechaun is said to be a solitary creature whose principal occupation is making and mending shoes, and who enjoys practical jokes, according to William Butler Yeats. The great wealth of these fairies comes from the treasure crocks buried of old in wartime. Treasure crocks. Oh gosh. I still have a pair of those shoes. Oh, it's treasure barrels. That's what a croc is. But no, I do have crocs. Just imagine how funny that would be if the leprechauns had the croc shoes and they stored their gold in crocs, which they have uncovered and appropriated. According to David McAnley, the leprechaun is the son of an evil spirit and a degenerate fairy. It is not wholly good, nor wholly evil, not wholly evil, dear God. So according to this, leprechauns are degenerates. And honestly, that's pretty much about the leprechaun. And they've pretty much been dressed like the way that we see them to this day. According to Yeats, the solitary fairies like the leprechaun wear red jackets, while the trooping ones wear green. So they really don't wear green, they wear red. But I guess for St. Patrick's Day, they just changed it to green. So, I mean, the leprechaun that we see really isn't entirely accurate. But, I mean, whatever floats your boat, guys. Whatever floats your boat. I love the leprechaun a lot, but he's so commercialized. I don't even know anymore. I love the leprechaun, but now we're going to be talking about the Goncanog? The Goncanog? The Goncanog. The Goncanog. Gancanog? Goncanog. Goncanog. I think I said that right. Goncanog. Or if anybody actually knows how to say this. How do you say this? Goncanog? Goncanog? I don't know. Like I said, I'm going to be mispronouncing a lot of stuff tonight. You guys can hate me in the comments. I'm sorry. I'm not good at pronouncing stuff. So, a Goncanog is a male fairy in Irish mythology that is known for seducing human women. Oh no, we're getting into the I don't even know. Hey Lily, how are you? So it's just that's really all it says. It's just a male fairy that likes to seduce human women. God damn it, cuckoo clock, not now. Am I Irish? I think I am a little bit. I'm not much Irish. I'm more German, Polish, and Cherokee than anything. But according to my grandma, I'm a little Irish in just some of it. So yeah, I'm barely any Irish. Let me see. So this is a like an account of the Goncanog or the Goncanog, or however you pronounce this little guy. I don't even know if he's little or not. So deeply versed in Irish folklore, he is another diminutive being of the same tribe as a leprechaun, but unlike him, he personated love and idleness, and always appeared with a dundeen. What the fuck is a dundeen? In his jaw in Lonesome Valley. Oh, a dundeen's a little pipe. Valleys, and it was his custom to make love to shepherdesses and milkmaids. It was considered very unlucky him, and whoever was known to have ruined his fortune by devotion to the fair sex was said to have met a Genconk, the Dundee or ancient Irish tobacco pipe found in our raths, is still popularly called a Genconk's pipe and not to be found in dictionaries, nor does the spirit. Okay, so this is just a really, really frisky spirit, to put it lightly. The word is pronounced Gankanag. We're talking about this really, really, really frisky male fairy who likes to go just essentially be, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. He likes to touch people and do dirty things. He's not a good man. Now, let's talk about the Doulahan. Now, this is one of my favorites. I love the Doulahan. So, this is the Doulahan. And now I know what you guys are thinking. You're probably like, Parker, that's just the fucking Headless Horseman. Well, yes, the Doulahan is essentially an Irish version of the Headless Horseman, but it's actually a fairy as well. And you're like, how the fuck can that thing be considered a fairy? It's just big, buff, rides a horse, has a whip, holds its head. How can that thing be a fairy? Well, I'm here to explain that to you. So let's talk about this. So the Doulahan, also called the gun scene, meaning without a head, is an Irish fairy found in mythology. Excuse me, I'm so sorry about that. Buff fairies for the... Somebody actually just needs... Okay, I need somebody to draw me. Speaking of buff fairies, I need somebody to draw me like a really buff, like little fairy, like Tinkerbell, like just a buff fucking Tinkerbell wearing shades that just says buff fairies for the win under it. The Doulahan is depicted as a headless rider, usually on a black horse who carries their own head under one arm. Usually the Doulahan is male, but there are some female versions. The mouth is usually in a hideous grin that touches both sides of the head. So kind of like the fucking Joker. Its eyes are constantly moving about and can see across the countryside even during the darkest nights. The flesh on the head is said to have the color and consistency of moldy cheese. The Doulahan is believed to use the spine of a human corpse for a whip, and its wagon is adorned with funeral objects. It has candles and skulls to light the way. The spokes of the wheels are made from thigh bones, and the wagon's covering made from a worm-chewed pall or dried human skin. The ancient Irish believed that where the Doulahan stops riding, a person is due to die. The Doulahan calls out the person's name, at which point he immediately drops dead. So this Doulahan, he just like... So let's just say he walks into the... he stops on the hill, and he shouts, "Oh, hi, Mark!" Mark's dead. Just by talking, he killed Mark. He killed Mark. Now we're going to be talking about something called the Fear Gorta, which is this thing. It looks just like it looks like Count Dooku. Oh, hi, Mark. What a story, Mark. God, I love that movie too much. So we're going to be talking about the Fear Gorta. So the Fear Gorta is also called the Phantom of Hunger, resembling an emaciated human. According to Yeats' fairy and folk tales of the Irish peasantry, the Fear Gorta walks the earth during times of famine, seeking alms for passers-by. In this version, the Fear Gorta can be a potential source of good luck for generous individuals. Harvey relates a myth that a Fear Gorta was a harbinger of famine during the Great Irish Famine of the 1840s, and a spirit originally arises from a patch of hungry grass. And it also mentions the Wendigo on here. See also Wendigo. So I guess the Fear Gorta is the Irish version of the Wendigo. So very, very cool. Now we're going to be talking about the AOC. The AOC. AOC. She's pretty. If you can, I don't even know how to say that, but AOC. She's pretty. All right, the AOC. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot on this one because they mentioned these a lot. No, that's not bad, actually. Okay. What the fuck did I join? Okay. Oh, it's called EC. So the EC is the Irish term for a supernatural race in Irish mythology and Scottish mythology, where it is usually spelled Sith. These guys are Sith lords, Jesus, but pronounced the same. Oh, they're still C. They're SI. Compared to the fairies or elves, they are said to live underground in fairy mounds across the Western Sea, or in an invisible world that coexists with the world of humans. The world is described in the Labor Gaba Aaron as a parallel universe in which the Aosai walk amongst the living. In the Irish language, Esai means people of the mounds. These are like Nazca line people. The mounds are known in Irish as the Sidhe. In modern Irish, the people of the mounds are often called Daone Sidhe. In Scottish mythology, they are Daone Sith. They are variously said to be the ancestors of the spirits of nature or goddesses and gods. Some secondary and tertiary sources, including well-known influential authors such as W.B. Yeats, refer to SC as simply Sidhe. So we've been seeing W.B. Yeats a lot. I might have to talk about him. He seems like he could be a fairy himself. I don't know. This is William Butler Yeats. What do you think, guys? Do you think he could be a fairy? He knows a lot about fairies. He could have been a fairy. I don't know. I don't know, but I've been seeing his name a lot. In folklore, so people leave offerings for them in order to avoid angering or insulting them. So pretty much these guys were worshipped. They were also they were spoken as like pretty much like good neighbors. The Irish people considered them their neighbors, and they just pretty much respected them. And the hawthorn tree, considered in local Irish lore and Celtic folklore, is in general is to be sacred to the SC. So if you see a hawthorn tree, the SC believe that this is sacred. So essentially, they're just Irish spirits who are considered fairies, which are really cool. I know I kind of rushed through that one, but I have a few more left before we get to the end of this video. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left. Jesus. Sorry. Now we're going to be talking about the Selkie. Okay, I crashed, guys. I'm sorry. I'm back. But we're going to be talking about, this is what everyone's pretty much been waiting for right here, next to the Leprechaun. But we're going to be talking about the Selkie and the Kelpie coming up next. So this is a Selkie. And what the Selkie is, it's pretty much it's like the Kelpie, a person that can turn into a seal. So a seal person. So so they're from Scottish folklore, meaning seal folk. And they're mythological beings capable of therianthropy, the mythological ability of human beings to metamorphosize into other animals by means of shapeshifting, changing seal to human form by shedding their skin. So let's just say you're a Selkie, you want to turn into a human, you just take your seal skin off and you're a human. Now, the really, really sad thing about Selkies is they were like considered really, really, really beautiful by people who lived by the water. So they often took their seal skin and hid it, and so they could never turn into a seal to return to the ocean. So they would be forced to marry the person who stole their skin, have their kids, and pretty much forever just like looking for their skin. And if they managed to find their seal skin, they put it back on and leave towards the water and never return. But some of them choose to stay behind because they love their family. So it pretty much depends on the Selkie. But yes, they do change from seal to human and human to seal by changing their skin, which is really cool. So that's a Selkie. I love Selkies. Hey, Rarin, how are you? Now we're getting, oh my god. I hate it when it does this. I remember when I posted this cryptid on Tumblr, I typed in Kelpie, and it just gave me the fucking Kelpie dog. Kelpie horse, that's what I want. Not the dog. So here's just a general idea. You guys probably all know what this is since it's pretty common, but this is a Kelpie. It's kind of hard, but the horse. Now these guys are fucking assholes. Let me tell you. I love them, but they're dicks. I swear, if this is a... Okay, thank you. This is actually about the creature, not the fucking dog. The dogs are cute. Before I actually get into this, I'm going to show you guys the dogs. Look at that. Those are cute. Kelpie puppies. Oh, those are precious. Look at him. Look at him. Those are precious. Okay, now back to the horse. But those are so cute. I love them. So pretty much, you guys all know about the Kelpie. So I'm gonna briefly talk about this one, but I do like this one as well as a lot of other people. So I'm gonna try to get as much info as I can about it, but just kind of like just briefing it up since everybody and their brother knows what a Kelpie is. So Kelpies, they're kind of like the Selkie, except they change into horses rather than seals. And they usually stand by like the old lochs, which are the lakes in Scotland, Ireland, by the sea, anywhere there's a body of water. It said each loch is supposed to have a Kelpie, so even Loch Ness is said to have its own Kelpie as well. And you go up to them, they seem really nice, they try to get you to touch their body, hop on their back, and if you do, their skin becomes adhesive like a really, really strong glue. You can't get off, and they drag you under the water where they drown, and then they can either just kill you or they just eat you. So, Kelpies are pretty dangerous, but a way to kind of tell a Kelpie between a normal horse or a normal human, they have seaweed mixed into their hair or their mane, depending on what form they take. And that's a very, very easy way to be like, hey, that horse over there, that's not a horse, that's a Kelpie. Hey, that lady over there who's naked standing by the water, probably shouldn't be naked in the first place, but she's got seaweed in her hair, so she's a Kelpie. So yes, it's a horse that can turn into a person, and a person that can turn into a horse. And when they turn into horses, they're said to be like insanely beautiful horses, like most beautiful horse you've ever fucking seen. So people are just like, they feel like drawn to them, like, I want to hop on this horse and ride it. But if they do, like I said, skin turns adhesive, pulls them under the water, and kills them. I think there are male Kelpies, yes. I believe so. There are male Kelpies, I believe. Yes, Loch Ness is said to have its own Kelpie as well. Even though pretty much it has Loch Ness Monster, that's what Loch Ness is famous for, but Loch Ness is said to have its very, very own Kelpie. Male Kelpies, let me see. Are there... Let me just check. This is actually a really good question here. I swear, if I get more dog shit, I'm going to scream. Get more dog shit, and I have to scream now. So, dogs. I'm getting more dogs. Are there male Kelpies? Horses. Horses. I believe there are male. I can't find it, but I have heard stories about there being male Kelpies. So yes, there are. And it says that Kelpies, they have the strength of 10 horses, and sometimes people could tame them with like a magic bridle, and they made like good additions to the household if you were able to tame one, though that was very, very unlikely since they were very, very powerful, and you have to have like the right thing in order to tame it. And I'm actually going to talk about that right now. So when a Kelpie appeared in its equine persona without any tact, it could be captured using a halter stamped with the sign of a cross, and its strength could then be harnessed in tasks such as the transportation of heavy millstones. One folktale describes how the Ladrid of Morphy captured a Kelpie and used it to carry stones to build a castle. Once the work was complete, yes, you can bribe the... Literally, just put a bridle on its back. Kelpie's your friend. Kelpie will love you long time. So it was unhappy about its treatment, so it pretty much left a curse on it. And yeah, it didn't... So the Ladrid, she released the Kelpie because it was unhappy about its treatment, and it pretty much just cursed. And it had... And the bridle had to have an exorcism done to remove the bridle, and a bridle taken from a Kelpie was endowed with magical powers, and if brandished towards someone, it was able to transform that person into a horse or pony. So pretty much just like with cinematic werewolves, a Kelpie can be killed by being shot with a silver bullet, after which it is seen to consist of nothing more than turf and a soft mass like jellyfish. According to an account published by Spence, when a blacksmith's family were being frightened by the repeated appearances of a Kelpie at their summer cottage, the blacksmith managed to render it to a heap of starch or something like it by penetrating the spirit's flanks with 2 sharp iron spears that had been heated with fire. So again, iron being able to kill a fairy. Steel types being super effective against fairy types. Now, earlier this week, I watched this channel on YouTube called Snarled. They do a segment called Something Scary, led by this really cool person named Sapphire. She animates and tells these different stories that are submitted by viewers. Check them out. It's a really good show. I suggest watching it. She had an episode about the Kelpie this week, and she was saying that on this one girl's 13th birthday, she went out to the water, and she saw a horse there, and the horse was pretty much trying to get her to ride on it. And there was this one lady sitting on the rocks by it, and all she really wanted for her birthday was to find out